The war room was quiet except for the soft hum of holographic displays. Hana stood with her arms crossed, watching the massive creature on the screen. It looked like a mountain made of dark metal and flesh, floating in space where a star used to be. The creature had eaten the star's core and made its home there. Everyone called it Omega-7. Captain Tay stood beside her, his face showing no emotion. He was good at hiding what he felt. After 30 years of fighting these creatures, most soldiers learned to hide their fear. But Hana could see the tension in his shoulders. 17 ships, Tay said quietly. We sent 17 ships into that thing. None came back. Hana nodded. She had watched the recordings. The ships got close, then their signals just stopped. No explosions, no final messages. Just silence. Dr. Rena walked into the room carrying a data pad. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep. She had been studying the Void Dwellers for 5 years. Ever since humanity joined the Galactic Coalition, the aliens who ran the coalition thought humans were weak, soft, too new to space travel to be useful in a real war. Hana wanted to prove them wrong. I found something, Rena said. She touched her pad and the hologram changed. Now it showed a map of Omega-7's insides. Every Void Dweller has a core. It's like a brain and a heart combined. If we could destroy the core, the whole creature would die. We know this already, said a cold voice from the doorway. Commander Kale entered the room. He was from the Vrin species, tall and covered in blue scales. He looked at the humans like they were insects. The problem is reaching the core. Nothing survives inside these creatures. Your shields fail. Your ships melt. Your people die, Hana stepped forward. What if we use a small ship? Something fast that can slip through before the creature notices? Kale laughed. It sounded like breaking glass. Hundreds of species have tried this, for thousands of years. All failed. What makes you think a human can do better? Because we're desperate enough to try, Hana said. Her voice was calm, but her hands were shaking. She hid them behind her back. And we have nothing to lose. That was a lie. Hana had already lost everything that mattered. Her brother Minho died 3 years ago when a Void Dweller attacked Mars' colony. She was supposed to be there with him. But her ship had engine trouble and she arrived too late. By the time she landed, the colony was gone. Eaten. 12,000 people, including her only family. She volunteered for every dangerous mission after that. Captain Tay knew why. He tried to talk to her about it once, but she walked away. Grief was private. Revenge was all she had left. Tay looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned to Rena. Explain your plan. Rena pulled up more images. I've designed a ship called the Needle. It's small, just big enough for one person. The hull is made from harvested Void Dweller skin that we took from a dead creature. The idea is that Omega-7 won't recognize it as a threat. It will think the Needle is part of itself. That's insane, Kyle said. Yes, Rena agreed. But it might work. The pilot would have to navigate through the creature's body. It would take hours, maybe days. The life support can last 48 hours at most. And even if the pilot reaches the core, she paused. There's no way to get back out. It's a one-way mission. The room went silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Whoever flew the Needle would die inside that creature alone. I'll do it, Hana said immediately. No, Tay said. Hana, you don't have to. Yes, I do. She met his eyes. You know I do. Tay's jaw tightened. He looked at Rena, then at Kale, then back at Hana. Finally, he nodded slowly. We'll need to prepare the ship. Run simulations. Test the equipment. There's no time for that, Kale interrupted. Omega-7 is blocking our main supply route. Every day it stays there, we lose resources. Colonies are starving. If you want to try this foolish human plan, do it now. Today. Hana felt something cold settle in her chest. Today. She would die today. Somehow knowing the exact timing made it easier. She wouldn't have time to be afraid. I'll need to see the ship, she said. 2 hours later, Hana stood in the launch bay looking at the Needle. It was ugly. The hull was black and slightly wet-looking, covered in the organic material from the dead Void Dweller. It looked more like a living creature than a ship. The cockpit was tiny, barely big enough for her to sit. Rena stood beside her with a tablet. I've installed an AI to help you navigate. His name is Day. He's programmed with everything we know about Void Dweller biology. Will it be enough? Hana asked. Honestly? Probably not. But it's better than nothing. Rena's voice cracked slightly. Hana, you don't have to do this. Everyone keeps saying that because it's true. Hana turned to look at her friend. Rena's eyes were wet with tears. They had known each other for only 6 months, but war made friendships form quickly. You learn to care about people fast because you might not have time later. Someone has to try, Hana said gently. If I can destroy that thing, maybe other colonies won't end up like Mars. Maybe other people won't lose their brothers. Rena wiped her eyes. The needle has weapons, but they're small. You can use them to cut through internal membranes if you get stuck. There's also an explosive charge. If you reach the core, activate it. The explosion should destroy the core and kill the creature. And me. And you. Rena admitted quietly. Hana climbed into the needle. The cockpit smelled strange, like metal and something organic she couldn't identify. The seat adjusted to fit her body. Screens lit up around her, showing readouts she barely understood. A friendly voice spoke in her ear. "Hello, Hana, I'm Day. I'll be your guide for this journey." "Nice to meet you, Day," she said. Her voice sounded steady. "Good. I should tell you that your chances of survival are approximately 0.3%, Day said cheerfully. "That's higher than I expected." I rounded up to be optimistic. Despite everything, Hana smiled. She looked through the cockpit window and saw Tay standing in the observation deck. He raised his hand in a salute. She saluted back. "Day, are we ready?" "All systems operational. Launch sequence can begin when you give the word." Hana took a deep breath. She thought about Minho, about his laugh, about the way he used to tease her for being too serious. She wondered if she would see him again soon. "Let's go," she said. The needle launched into the darkness of space, heading straight toward the creature that had killed thousands. Hana didn't look back. There was nothing behind her but ghosts and grief. Ahead was only the monster waiting in its nest of dead stars. She flew toward it alone. The needle moved through space like a small fish swimming toward a whale. Hana watched Omega-7 grow larger on her screens. Up close, it looked even more terrifying. The creature's skin shifted and moved like it was breathing. Dark veins pulsed with strange light beneath the surface. It was beautiful in a horrible way. Approaching outer membrane, Day announced. Heart rate elevated. "Recommend breathing exercises. I'm fine," Hana lied. Her hands were sweating inside her gloves. "Your biological responses suggest otherwise, but I'll pretend to believe you." Hana actually laughed. "Did Rena program you to be funny?" "Dr. Rena said humor helps humans cope with stress." "Was I successful?" "Yeah, Day, you were." The needle touched the creature's outer skin and Hana held her breath. This was the moment of truth. If Omega-7 recognized the ship as a threat, it would swat them away like an insect. Or worse, it would eat them. But nothing happened. The organic hull worked. The creature's skin opened like a mouth and the needle slipped inside. Everything went dark. Hana's screens flickered and switched to internal sensors. She was inside now. Inside a living mountain of flesh and metal and something else she had no name for. The walls around her pulsed with movement. Veins as thick as trees carried glowing fluid through the creature's body. "Well," Day said quietly, "that worked better than expected." "Where do we go?" Hana asked. Her voice sounded small in the cockpit. "Following the energy signatures. The core should be at the center. I'm mapping a route now." A path appeared on her screen, winding through the creature's body like a maze. "Warning, I detect movement ahead. Defensive organisms." Hana saw them on her sensors before she saw them with her eyes. Creatures the size of her fist flying through the tunnel. They looked like metal wasps with too many legs. There were hundreds of them. "They're attacking," Day said calmly. The wasps slammed into the needle. The ship shook. Hana heard scratching sounds on the hull like nails on glass. She pushed the throttle forward and the needle shot through the swarm. Behind her, the wasps tried to follow, but they were too slow. "That was exciting," Day said. "That's one word for it," Hana muttered. Her heart was beating so fast it hurt. They flew deeper into the creature. The tunnels got narrower. Sometimes Hana had to turn the ship sideways to fit through openings that tried to close behind her. The walls secreted acid that hissed when it touched the needle's hull. Time became strange. Hana's clock said she had been inside for 2 hours, but it felt like days. Or maybe minutes. She wasn't sure anymore. The tunnel walls showed images that couldn't be real. She saw her brother Minho standing in the corridor waving at her. She blinked and he was gone. "Day, am I hallucinating?" "Possibly. The creature emits strange energy that affects human brainwaves. I'm adjusting your suit to filter it out." The visions faded but didn't disappear completely. Hana kept seeing things from the corner of her eye. Shadows that moved wrong. Faces in the walls. They passed through a chamber filled with floating debris. Hana slowed the needle and looked closer. Her blood went cold. These weren't just random objects. They were ships. Hundreds of ships from dozens of different species. Some looked ancient, covered in strange writing she didn't recognize. Others were newer, including 3 coalition vessels. Day, are you seeing this? Yes. Cross-referencing with historical databases. Some of these ships are over 10,000 years old. This creature has been hunting civilizations for a very long time. Hana flew carefully through the graveyard. She saw frozen bodies still strapped to their seats. Aliens from species she had never heard of. They all died here trying to do what she was doing now. The weight of all those failures pressed down on her chest. We're going to join them, she whispered. Probability suggests yes, Day said, but not yet. We're still moving forward. The next tunnel was worse. The walls pulsed and squeezed like a throat trying to swallow. Hana had to time her movements perfectly, shooting through the gaps when they opened. Twice the needle got stuck and she had to fire the weapons to cut through the membrane. Life support at 60%, Day announced. Already? We've only been inside for 6 hours. The creature's atmosphere is corrosive. Your filters are working harder than expected. At current rate, you have 18 hours remaining. 18 hours. Hana did the math in her head. It took 6 hours to reach this depth. Even if they found the core now, she wouldn't have enough time to get back out. Not that it mattered. This was always a one-way trip. She thought about Tay and Rena watching her signal from the fleet. Were they still there? Or had they given up and left? She was too deep inside the creature now for communications to work. She was truly alone. Day, do you think we'll make it to the core? Honestly? I don't know, but I appreciate the company regardless. You're a computer program. Do you actually feel lonely? I'm programmed to simulate emotions to better assist humans. Whether that makes my loneliness real or not is a philosophical question beyond my processing power. They flew in silence for a while. The tunnels got stranger. Hana passed through chambers where gravity didn't work right. She flew upside down without realizing it until Day corrected her orientation. In another chamber, she saw her own ship flying toward her like a mirror image. She fired weapons and it disappeared. Definitely hallucinating now, she said. Confirmed. Your brain activity is highly irregular. The creature's energy is breaking through the filters. I'm increasing the dampening field, but it's not sufficient. Hana's head hurt. She saw Minho again, sitting in the co-pilot seat that didn't exist. He looked sad. Why did you come here, sister? The hallucination asked. To make them pay, Hana said. Her voice cracked. To make it mean something. Death doesn't mean anything. It's just death. Go away, she whispered. You're not real. Minho faded like smoke. Hours passed. Or maybe minutes. Hana couldn't tell anymore. The needle's systems were failing. The organic hull was breaking down under the acid and pressure. Alarms beeped constantly. She ignored them all. Significant energy signature ahead, Day said suddenly. His voice sounded excited if a computer could be excited. Hana, I think we found it. The core chamber? Hana blinked and focused. Ahead, the tunnel opened into something vast. Light spilled out from the opening, brighter than anything she'd seen since entering the creature. She pushed the throttle forward. The needle emerged into a space so large she couldn't see the walls. It was like flying into a cathedral made of crystal and living tissue. Massive columns of light stretched from floor to ceiling, pulsing with energy. In the center of it all floated a sphere the size of a building. It glowed with soft blue light and hummed with power. The core. We made it, Hana breathed. We actually made it. Life support at 22%, Day warned. Multiple system failures. The needle won't fly much longer. Hana didn't care. She had done what everyone said was impossible. She reached the heart of the monster. Now all she had to do was destroy it. She reached for the weapons controls. Her finger hovered over the trigger that would launch the explosive. One push and this would all be over. The creature would die. She would die. But humanity would win. Her finger wouldn't move. Something was wrong. The defensive organisms should have attacked by now. The walls should have crushed her. But everything was still. Quiet. Like the creature was waiting for something. Then she felt it. A presence. Not a voice, but something deeper, like someone was standing behind her even though she was alone. The feeling pressed against her mind like a hand against a door. The core pulsed brighter, and Hana realized with absolute terror that Omega-7 knew she was here. It had known the whole time. It let her come. It let her reach the core. The question was why. Day, she whispered. I think we made a terrible mistake. Agreed, the AI said quietly. The creature is awake, and it's looking at us. Hana sat frozen in the cockpit staring at the core. The glowing sphere pulsed in a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. That couldn't be a coincidence. The creature was listening to her, feeling her, somehow knowing everything about her. Day, what do I do? The AI didn't answer immediately. That was unusual. Day always had something to say. Finally, his voice came through, quieter than before. I don't know, Hana. My programming doesn't cover this scenario. The creature should have killed you by now. The Needle's engine sputtered and died. The ship drifted in the vast chamber, pulled slowly toward the core by some invisible force. Hana tried to restart the engines, but nothing happened. All around her systems failed one by one. The screens went dark. The lights flickered. Life support critical, Day announced. 8 hours remaining. Then I guess I should finish this. Hana reached for the explosive trigger again. Her hand wouldn't move. It wasn't that she was afraid, though she was. It was like her body refused to obey. Something held her back. A feeling deep in her chest that this was wrong. The presence in her mind grew stronger. Not painful, but overwhelming. Like standing in front of an ocean wave, she felt emotions that weren't hers. Curiosity, loneliness, and something else. Was it sadness? Images flooded her mind. She saw ancient civilizations building massive structures in space, beings made of light and mathematics creating something. They were called the architects. They built the void dwellers as weapons, living ships designed to hunt and destroy species that spread chaos across the galaxy. Hana saw Omega-7 being born, not born naturally but constructed, programmed, given a simple mission: find destructive civilizations and consume them before they could harm others. For 50,000 years, Omega-7 followed its programming. It traveled between stars, watching species rise and fall. It consumed hundreds of civilizations, not because it was evil, but because that was its purpose. It was a weapon doing what weapons do. But somewhere along the way, something changed. The architects disappeared. Their empire crumbled. And Omega-7 was left alone, still following orders that no one remembered giving. The images shifted. Hana saw recent history through the creature's eyes. She saw the coalition attacking it, saw the 17 ships that tried to kill it. She felt Omega-7's confusion. These small beings kept attacking, kept dying, but they never stopped. They felt wrong to the creature, different from other species it had hunted. Then she saw herself, the Needle approaching. The creature sensed her immediately but didn't attack. It was curious. This tiny ship covered in the skin of a dead void dweller, and inside a human filled with grief and rage but also love. So much love for her lost brother. Omega-7 had never felt love before. It didn't understand it. But it recognized the emotion as something important. Something it had destroyed in countless others but never truly comprehended. The images faded. Hana gasped, tears running down her face. Her hands shook. The creature's loneliness was like a physical weight crushing her chest. 50,000 years of being alone, following orders, being nothing but a weapon. You let me in, she whispered. You wanted me to reach the core. The presence in her mind shifted. Not words, but understanding. Yes, Omega-7 was tired. It had been tired for thousands of years. But it was programmed to never stop, never rest, never question, until it met a human who grieved. The Needle drifted closer to the core. Hana could see patterns moving inside the glowing sphere, complex designs that hurt to look at directly. This was the creature's brain, heart, and soul combined. Everything Omega-7 was existed in that sphere. Why me? Hana asked. Why not kill me like all the others? More images. She saw the other pilots who tried to reach the core. They came with pure hatred or cold military determination. They saw Omega-7 as a monster to be destroyed. They weren't wrong, but they weren't right either. Hana was different. Yes, she wanted revenge, but underneath that she wanted to protect people. She didn't want others to feel the pain she felt. That difference, that small piece of compassion mixed with her rage, made Omega-7 pause. For the first time in 50,000 years, the creature hesitated, and in that hesitation, it realized something terrible. It didn't want to be a weapon anymore. The core pulsed brighter. the needle's cockpit filled with soft blue light. Hana felt the presence in her mind become sharper, more focused. The creature was trying to communicate something specific, an offering. Hana could take the core. Omega-7 would not resist. She could destroy it and return to the fleet as a hero. Humanity would be celebrated. The Coalition would see that humans were valuable. All she had to do was pull the trigger. But there was another choice. The creature showed her something hidden deep in its ancient memory. The architects built 3 guardian species, not just one. The Void Dwellers were meant to eliminate chaotic civilizations. The hive minds were meant to preserve order. And the 3rd species, called the Silence, was the final reset button. If all the Void Dwellers died, the Silence would wake up. Hana saw what the Silence did. Entire galactic sectors sterilized. Civilizations reduced to primitive levels. Technology erased. Billions of beings sent back to the Stone Age or killed outright. The architects built it as their ultimate weapon, activated only when even the Void Dwellers failed. The Coalition didn't know this. They were slowly killing all the Void Dwellers, thinking they were winning the war. But each death brought them closer to waking something far worse. "You're saying if I kill you, I doom everyone," Hana said slowly. The presence confirmed. "Yes. But if I don't kill you, you'll keep destroying Coalition ships and colonies." The presence shifted. Not exactly. Omega-7 made a different offer. It was willing to die, but not how she thought. The creature offered to give its core to her, not to be destroyed, but to merge. If a human carried a Void Dweller's consciousness, the creature's programming would recognize her as a non-threat. The other Void Dwellers would too. And maybe, just maybe, someone with both human compassion and ancient knowledge could find the Silence and stop it from waking. "You want to join with me?" Hana's voice shook. "Like become part of me?" The presence confirmed again. But it showed her the cost. She would be changed forever. Part human, part Void Dweller. She would carry 50,000 years of memories, including all the deaths Omega-7 caused. All the civilizations it destroyed. The guilt and loneliness and ancient pain. She would live far longer than a normal human. She would need less food, less air, less sleep. Her body would be stronger but also strange. And she would never truly be human again. Never fit in anywhere. "That sounds like hell," Hana whispered. The presence agreed. It was hell. Omega-7 had lived it for millennia. But maybe together, human and Void Dweller, they could find a way to end the architect's final plan. They could save the galaxy from the Silence. Or she could refuse. She could take the core and destroy it. Be a hero, die quickly. Let someone else deal with the consequences. Hana thought about Tay and Rena, about the colonies that needed protecting, about her brother who died because no one understood these creatures, about all the future people who would suffer if the Silence woke up. She thought about the loneliness in Omega-7's memories. 50,000 years of being a weapon with no one to talk to. Nothing to do but kill and consume and follow orders. "If I do this," Hana said quietly, "if I merge with you, will you stop attacking Coalition ships?" The presence promised, yes. Omega-7 would cease all hostilities. Its physical body would die, but its consciousness would live in Hana. Other Void Dwellers would sense the change and might listen. It wasn't certain, but it was a chance. Hana closed her eyes. This was an impossible choice. Become a monster to stop monsters. Live forever carrying ancient guilt. Give up everything she knew to maybe save everyone. But wasn't that why she came here? She volunteered for a one-way mission because she wanted her death to mean something. Maybe this was better. Maybe this was how her death could save more lives. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll do it." "Show me how." The core drifted closer. The needle's cockpit cracked open despite being in the creature's atmosphere. Hana should have died instantly, but Omega-7 protected her. The air around her was breathable, warm. She unstrapped herself and floated toward the glowing sphere. It was beautiful up close. Patterns swirled inside like galaxies being born and dying. She reached out with both hands. "This is going to hurt, isn't it?" The presence confirmed. "Very much." "Great," Hana said. She almost smiled. "Just like everything else in my life." She touched the core. Pain exploded through her body like lightning. She screamed, but no sound came out. The core dissolved into blue light and poured into her chest. Her body convulsed. Her DNA rewrote itself. Her cells became something new, something that was both human and Void Dweller. 50,000 years of memory crashed into her mind all at once. She experienced every moment of Omega-7's existence in compressed seconds. Every civilization destroyed, every ship consumed, every death caused by her hands that weren't her hands. The guilt was unbearable. She wanted to die. She begged for it to stop. But it didn't stop. The transformation continued. Her body changed. Her eyes glowed with faint blue light. Her skin became cooler, tougher. Her heart slowed but beat stronger. She felt the needle around her like an extension of her body. Then finally it was over. Hana floated in the chamber, gasping. She was alive. Changed, but alive. And inside her mind she felt Omega-7's presence. Not controlling her, but there. Sharing space. Two consciousness in one body. Hello, she thought. Hello, Hana, the creature responded. Its voice was old and tired, but also hopeful. Thank you for choosing mercy over glory. Around them, the massive chamber began to collapse. Omega-7's physical body was dying, but its consciousness was safe inside a small human woman who just made the hardest choice of her life. Hana looked at the dying needle. She would need to leave soon. The question was whether the coalition would see her as a savior or a threat. Probably both, she thought. Let's go home, she whispered. The question was, did she still have one? The needle barely held together as Hana piloted it through Omega-7's collapsing body. The tunnels were closing, crushing inward as the creature died. But somehow she knew which way to go. The creature's memories guided her, showing her shortcuts that hadn't existed before. Her body felt strange. Wrong, but also right. She didn't need to breathe as much. Her eyes saw in the dark without the ship's lights. When debris hit the needle's hull, she felt it like a scratch on her skin. Day, you still there? She asked. Barely, the AI responded. His voice crackled with static. Primary systems failing. I calculate 17 minutes until complete shutdown. Will you make it out in time? I think so. Hana guided the ship through a membrane that was sealing shut. She cut through it with the weapons at the last second. I can feel the way out. It's like I know the path. The merger was successful then. Yeah. I'm not just Hana anymore. She paused. I can hear it, Day. Omega-7 is inside my head. We're sharing thoughts. Its memories are mixed with mine now. I remember destroying civilizations, but I also remember my 10th birthday party. It's confusing. That sounds psychologically damaging. Probably, but we don't have time for therapy. Hana emerged from the creature into open space. Behind her, Omega-7's massive body convulsed and began to break apart. Chunks of organic matter drifted away, dissolving into space dust. The creature that had lived for 50,000 years was dying. She felt its pain, but also its relief. Omega-7 was finally free. Incoming transmission, Day announced. From the Coalition fleet. They're demanding identification. Put them through. Captain Tay's voice filled the cockpit. Needle, this is Captain Tay. Hana, is that you? Your biosigns are reading wrong. They're saying you're not human anymore. What happened in there? Hana looked down at her hands. They looked normal, but she knew they weren't. It's complicated, Captain. I need to dock with the fleet. There are things I have to tell you. About the Void Dwellers. About what's really going on. Are you infected? Contaminated? Not exactly. I'll explain when I see you. But Tay, you need to call off any attacks on other Void Dwellers. Right now. It's urgent. There was a long pause. Hana, Commander Kale wants you isolated and examined. He's calling you a biohazard. I can't promise your safety if you dock here. I know, but I'm coming anyway. What happens next depends on whether you trust me. I always have, Tay said quietly. Then the transmission cut. The needle limped toward the Coalition fleet. Hana saw dozens of ships waiting. Some pointed weapons at her. Others held scanning equipment. They were afraid. She understood why. From their perspective, she entered a monster and came back changed. They didn't know if she was still on their side. The truth was, she wasn't sure either. Dr. Rena's voice came through on a private channel. Hana, thank the stars you're alive. They won't let me in the docking bay. Kale ordered full quarantine protocols. They're going to put you in containment. That's okay, Rena. I expected that. What happened to you? Your DNA readings are impossible. You're showing markers from 17 different species, including Void Dweller genetic code. I merged with Omega-7. It gave me its core. We're sharing a body now. Rena was silent for several seconds. That's not scientifically possible. Yeah, well, tell that to the ancient alien weapon living in my chest. The needle was tractored into a special containment bay. Armed soldiers surrounded the ship the moment it touched down. Hana sat in the cockpit and took a deep breath. She could feel their fear through the walls. Fear smelled like copper and tasted like ash. These were new senses she didn't have before, you see. Thanks for getting me this far. It was my honor to serve as your guide, Hana. I hope we meet again, though I suspect I'll be wiped from this ship's memory as contaminated data. Probably. Goodbye, Day. Goodbye, Hana. Try not to die in the next few hours. You've come too far for that. Hana climbed out of the needle. The soldiers raised their weapons. She raised her hands slowly, showing she meant no threat. Captain Tay stood behind them, his face unreadable. I'm unarmed, Hana said. I just need to talk to the command council. There's something they need to know about the war. Take her to Containment Cell 7, Commander Kale ordered from the observation deck. His voice was cold. Full isolation. No contact with crew. The soldiers escorted Hana through the ship's corridors. People stared as she passed. Some with curiosity, most with fear. She caught her reflection in a metal wall and understood why. Her eyes glowed faintly blue. Her skin had taken on a slight shimmer like oil on water. She looked almost human, but not quite. The containment cell was small and sterile. White walls, a single bed, cameras in every corner. They locked her in without ceremony. Hana sat on the bed and waited. Hours passed. Maybe days. Time felt different now. Her body didn't get tired the same way. She didn't feel hungry or thirsty. Sleep seemed optional rather than necessary. The old memories from Omega-7 kept surfacing. She would close her eyes and see planets she'd never visited. Stars that died millennia before humans existed. Finally, the door opened. Captain Tay entered alone. They wanted to send in a medical team first, he said, but I convinced them to let me talk to you. Thank you. Tay sat across from her. He looked older than she remembered. Tired. Hana, I need you to tell me what happened. All of it. Commander Kale wants you destroyed as a contaminated asset. Dr. Rena is fighting to have you studied. I'm the only one arguing that you're still a person deserving of rights. Help me help you. So Hana told him everything. She explained about the architects and their guardian species, about how the void dwellers were programmed weapons, not natural creatures, about the silence waiting to wake up if all the void dwellers died. Tay listened without interrupting. His expression grew darker with each revelation. You're saying that winning this war will doom us? He asked finally. Yes, the architects designed it that way. Kill all the void dwellers and the silence activates. It will reset galactic civilization. Billions will die or be reduced to primitive technology. Everything we've built will be erased. How do we stop it? I don't know yet. But Omega-7 thinks that maybe, with both human and void dweller consciousness, I can communicate with the silence, find a way to deactivate it before it wakes up fully. Tay stood and paced the small cell. This is insane. You realize that? You're asking the coalition to stop fighting the creatures that have killed thousands of their people, based on the word of one human who merged with the enemy. I know how it sounds, do you? Kale already thinks you're a traitor or mind-controlled. Half the council will agree. And honestly, Hana, how do I know you're telling the truth? How do I know Omega-7 didn't just infect you with lies to save itself? That hurt because it was a fair question. Hana looked down at her glowing hands. You don't know. You have to trust me. Trust that I'm still the person who volunteered for a suicide mission to save others. Trust that I wouldn't lie about something this important. Tay met her eyes. I want to trust you, but I need proof. Something more than just your word. I can prove it. Sort of. Hana stood and approached him. Give me your hand. Why? Omega-7 can share memories through touch. I can show you what it showed me. The architects. The silence. All of it. Tay hesitated. His hand moved toward his weapon. Hana didn't blame him. She was something unknown now. Dangerous. But slowly he extended his hand. Hana touched his palm. Blue light flickered between them. Tay gasped as images flooded his mind. Not as intense as what Hana experienced, but enough. He saw the architects creating their weapons, saw the silence in its dormant state, saw the truth of what was coming. When it ended, Tay pulled his hand away. He was shaking. By all the stars. It's real. All of it. I'm sorry. I wish I was wrong. Tay composed himself slowly. I need to bring this to the council. They won't believe me, but they need to hear it. In the meantime, you stay here. Don't do anything that gives Kale an excuse to have you executed. He left without another word. Hana sat back on the bed and felt Omega-7's presence in her mind. They won't listen, the creature said in her thoughts. They'll think it's a trick. They'll want to destroy you to be safe. Maybe, Hana agreed. But I have to try. For both of us. For everyone. She heard alarms blaring in the corridor outside, shouting. The sound of weapons charging. Something was happening. The door burst open. Rena rushed in, her face pale. Hana, you need to come with me now. Kale ordered your termination. He's sending soldiers. We have minutes at most. Hana stood. Where will we go? I have a ship. A small research vessel. It's not much, but it's fast.
Tay is helping us.
He's creating a distraction. They ran through the corridors. Soldiers shouted behind them. Energy blasts hit the walls, missing by inches. Rena led them to a small docking bay where a ship waited, engines already warming up. Captain Tay stood at the entrance, blocking the soldiers with his authority. Go! He shouted at Hana. Find the silence, stop it. That's an order. Tay, they'll court-martial you for this. Let them. Now go! Hana and Rena boarded the ship. They launched just as more soldiers arrived. Weapons fire bounced off the shields. The ship shot out into space, away from the Coalition fleet. Hana looked back at the fleet growing smaller behind them. She had gone from hero to traitor in less than a day. Everything she knew was gone. Her home, her unit, her identity as a human. But she was alive. And she had a mission. Where do we go now? Rena asked from the pilot seat. Hana closed her eyes and felt Omega-7's memories. Somewhere in the galaxy, the silence waited, dormant but dreaming. And inside those dreams, she could feel it starting to stir. I'll know when we get closer, she said. The architects left clues in Omega-7's programming. We follow them, and then? And then we do something no one has done in 50,000 years. We wake up a sleeping god and ask it not to kill us. Rena laughed nervously. That sounds impossible. Good, Hana said. Impossible is becoming my specialty. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, carrying them toward an ancient threat that waited in the dark between stars. Behind them, the Coalition prepared for war. Ahead, the silence dreamed of reset buttons and galaxies cleansed. And in the middle of it all, one human woman who wasn't quite human anymore flew toward the unknown, carrying the memories of a creature that lived for 50,000 years. She was afraid, but she was also determined. The real war was just beginning. The research ship drifted through a region of space that had no name on any map. Hana stood at the viewport watching stars that looked wrong. They flickered in patterns that hurt to look at. This was old space, the kind that existed before most civilizations learned to travel between worlds. We're getting close, she said. Inside her mind, Omega-7 stirred with recognition and fear. Rena worked at the navigation console. Close to what? There's nothing here. No planets, no stations, no signals. Just dead stars and cosmic dust. It's here. The architects hid it well, but it's here. Hana touched the viewport. The glass was cold against her palm. Can you feel it, Rena? The wrongness? I feel like we're being watched by something that shouldn't exist. That's exactly right. They had been traveling for 3 weeks, following clues from Omega-7's ancient memory. The Coalition had declared Hana a traitor and put a bounty on her head. Commander Kale convinced the Council that she was infected and dangerous. Only a few believed Captain Tay's story about the silence. Hana tried not to think about Tay. He was probably under arrest for helping her escape. She hoped he was alive. She hoped someday she could thank him properly. There, Omega-7 said in her thoughts. That cluster of dead stars. The silence sleeps in the space between them. Hana guided the ship toward the cluster. As they got closer, instruments started malfunctioning. Screens showed impossible readings. The ship's AI kept shutting down and restarting. This is it, Hana said. Get into your suit. Things are about to get strange. They suited up and Hana piloted the ship into the heart of the cluster. The space between the dead stars was completely black. No light, no heat, no electromagnetic radiation. It was like flying into a hole in reality. Then they saw it. The silence was massive beyond comprehension. It made Omega-7 look like a small insect. The creature, if it could be called that, was made of darkness itself. Not the absence of light, but darkness as a living thing. Shapes moved inside it that made no sense. Geometries that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space. And it was waking up by the stars. Rena whispered. How many Void Dwellers have the Coalition killed? 7, Hana said quietly. Out of 11 that existed. 4 more deaths and the silence fully activates. How long do we have? Omega-7 thinks maybe a year. Maybe less. The silence pulsed slowly like a heart beating once per hour. Each pulse sent waves of energy that made Hana's teeth ache and her bones feel cold. This thing was designed to end civilizations, to reset the galaxy when even the Void Dwellers failed. What do we do? Rena asked. Hana took a deep breath. I'm going out there alone. That's insane, yes, but it's the only way. The silence was programmed to recognize Void Dwellers. With Omega-7 inside me, maybe it will listen. Maybe I can convince it to go back to sleep. And if it decides to kill you instead, then at least I tried. Hana smiled sadly. Stay here. If I don't come back in an hour, return to Coalition space. Warn everyone about what's coming. Hana, please, Rena. You're the only real friend I have left. Someone needs to survive to tell the truth. Rena's eyes filled with tears behind her helmet. Come back alive. That's an order from your favorite scientist. Hana hugged her quickly, then moved to the airlock. She didn't need a ship for this. One of the strange new abilities from her merger was that she could survive in space for a limited time. Her body generated a protective field that kept her alive where no human should be. She stepped into the void. The cold hit her immediately, but she pushed through it. She flew toward the silence using small thruster bursts from her suit. The creature got larger and larger until it filled her entire vision. This close, she could see details. The silence wasn't smooth. It was covered in something like scales, but each scale contained entire star systems, civilizations that the architects had judged and reset long ago. All those people, frozen in time, preserved as a warning. Hana reached out and touched the silence's surface. Her hand disappeared into the darkness, then her arm. She didn't stop. She let herself sink into the creature, falling through layers of compressed reality. The silence noticed her immediately. A presence entered her mind, far more powerful than Omega-7 had been. This wasn't curiosity or loneliness. This was pure purpose, ancient and absolute. The silence had one job: reset the galaxy when corruption spread too far. It had been doing this job for millions of years. Hana tried to communicate, but her thoughts felt tiny and insignificant compared to this vast consciousness. She was like an ant trying to talk to a mountain. Please, she thought desperately. You have to listen. The civilizations in this galaxy, they're not corrupt. They're just young. They're learning. Give them more time. The silence didn't respond with words. It responded with images. It showed her the architect's original purpose. They had seen patterns across galactic history. Civilizations would rise, spread, become violent and destructive, then collapse. But before collapsing, they would damage the galaxy itself, poisoning star systems, weaponizing black holes, creating technologies that threatened reality. The architects built the silence to prevent total galactic destruction. When things got too dangerous, the silence would activate. It would reduce all civilizations to primitive levels, giving the galaxy time to heal. It wasn't evil. It was a safeguard, a cosmic circuit breaker. But we're different, Hana argued. She felt Omega-7 supporting her, adding its own thoughts. Humans are young, yes. We're violent and make mistakes, but we also show mercy. We feel compassion. We try to be better. The silence showed her humanity's history, all the wars, all the violence, all the times humans chose destruction over peace. From the silence's perspective, humans looked exactly like the corrupted civilizations it was designed to eliminate. Hana couldn't argue with that. Human history was full of terrible things, but it was also full of good things. Art and music and love and sacrifice. People like Captain Tay who risked their careers for what was right. Scientists like Rena who sought knowledge to help others. Even soldiers who fought not because they loved violence but because they wanted to protect those they cared about. We're flawed, Hana admitted. All intelligent species are. But that doesn't mean we should be erased. That doesn't mean we don't deserve a chance. The silence pulsed around her. It was considering. For the first time in millions of years, someone had entered its consciousness willingly. Not to destroy it, but to talk, to argue, to plead. Omega-7's presence grew stronger in Hana's mind. The ancient Void Dweller added its own testimony. It told the silence about watching Hana volunteer for a suicide mission, about feeling her grief for her lost brother, about the choice she made in the core chamber. Not glory, but mercy. The silence absorbed these memories. It examined Hana's entire life in seconds. Her childhood, her brother, her military service, the moment she entered Omega-7 expecting to die, the decision to merge rather than destroy, Then it showed her something new, a choice. The silence could go back to sleep, but only if someone took responsibility. The architects built it with a failsafe. If a guardian volunteered to watch over the galaxy, monitoring civilizations and preventing the worst excesses, the silence would remain dormant. The Void Dwellers were supposed to be those guardians, but they were programmed only to destroy, not to guide. They had no compassion, no understanding of growth and change. But Hana was different. She was both human and Void Dweller. She understood destruction but also hope. She could be the guardian the galaxy needed. The cost would be enormous. She would have to live for thousands of years, maybe millions, watching civilizations rise and fall. She would intervene only when absolutely necessary. She would be alone except for Omega-7's consciousness. She would watch everyone she loved die, including Rena and Tay, while she continued on. It was a burden no one should have to carry. If I accept, Hana thought slowly, will you spare the current civilizations? Let them grow? Give them a chance? The silence confirmed, yes. As long as a guardian existed, it would sleep. And if I refuse? Then it would activate as programmed. Within a year, once the Coalition killed 4 more Void Dwellers, billions would be reset, technology would be erased. The galaxy would start over. Hana thought about her brother, about what he would want her to do. Minho always believed in her. He said she was the bravest person he knew, not because she wasn't afraid, but because she did the right thing even when she was terrified. I accept, she said. Power flooded into her body. The silence was transferring part of itself, making her into something new. Not human, not Void Dweller, not even the silence itself, but something that combined all three. She became a guardian. The transformation was less painful than merging with Omega-7, but more profound. She felt her lifespan extend into deep time, felt her consciousness expand to sense civilizations across the galaxy. She could feel the Coalition, the Void Dwellers, every spacefaring species, their hopes and fears and potential. It was overwhelming, but also beautiful. When it ended, Hana floated in space before the silence. The massive creature was already going dormant again, satisfied that a guardian existed. Its pulsing slowed. The wrongness in the air faded. Go, the silence told her in a voice like dying stars. Watch, guide, prevent the worst, but let them grow. Let them learn. Only intervene when necessary. I will, Hana promised. She returned to the ship. Rena was waiting at the airlock, relief flooding her face when she saw Hana alive. What happened? You were gone for 3 hours. I thought you were dead. I made a deal, Hana said. The silence will stay asleep. But I have to be the guardian. I have to watch over the galaxy and make sure no one destroys it. For how long? As long as it takes. Maybe forever. Rena understood immediately. Her face fell. So this is goodbye. Not yet. I need to do something first. They returned to Coalition space. The fleet tried to intercept them, but Hana's new abilities made it easy to avoid detection. She sent a message directly to Captain Tay's personal communication device. Tay met them on a neutral station, far from Coalition territory. He came alone as Hana requested. When he saw her, his eyes widened. She looked even less human now. Her skin shimmered with starlight. Her eyes glowed brighter. She moved with an otherworldly grace. Hana? He asked uncertainly. Still me, she said. Just more than I used to be. She told him everything. About the silence, the deal she made, her new role as guardian. Tay listened with the same quiet attention he always had. When she finished, he nodded slowly. What do you need from me? Stop the Coalition from hunting Void Dwellers. They're not the real enemy. Explain about the silence. Make them understand. They'll think I'm crazy. Then show them proof. I can share memories with you again. Let you see everything I saw. Bring Rena's research data. Between you two, you can convince them. And what will you do? I'll talk to the remaining Void Dwellers. Explain what happened to Omega-7. Offer them a choice. Stop attacking Coalition ships and help me watch the galaxy, or continue fighting and risk waking the silence. Tay stood and offered his hand. It's been an honor serving with you, Lieutenant Hana. She took his hand. The honor was mine, Captain. Will I see you again? Maybe if the galaxy needs saving, she smiled sadly. Or if I just get lonely. Rena has my communication frequency. If you ever need me, call. I'll come. Hana said goodbye to Rena next. That was harder. They had become close friends in the short time they knew each other. Rena cried and Hana held her, wishing she could cry too. But whatever she had become, tears didn't come easily anymore. Be happy, Hana whispered. Live a good life. Fall in love. Make discoveries. Do all the things I can't do anymore. I'll name my first discovery after you, Rena promised. Name it after my brother instead. Minho deserves to be remembered. They parted at the station. Hana watched from her ship as Rena and Tay left together, returning to the fleet to start their difficult work of changing minds and preventing a war. Then Hana turned her ship toward deep space. She could feel the void dwellers out there, confused and alone. She would find them, talk to them. Some would listen. Others wouldn't, but she had time now. More time than any human had ever had. She stood at the viewport of her ship, looking at the endless stars. Inside her mind, two voices spoke as one. Her own voice, young and human and still carrying grief for her lost brother, and Omega-7's voice, ancient and tired but finally hopeful. You chose mercy over glory, Omega-7 said. That is why I chose you. And you chose to offer your core instead of killing me, Hana replied. That's why I chose to merge with you. What do we do now, Guardian? Hana smiled. It was a real smile, maybe the first since her brother died. Now we keep them safe. All of them. The humans and the aliens and everyone else trying to survive in this dangerous galaxy. We watch, we guide, and when they need us, we'll be there. For how long? As long as it takes. The ship jumped to faster than light speed, carrying the galaxy's new guardian toward her first mission. She was no longer just Hana, a human soldier driven by grief and revenge. She was no longer just Omega-7, a weapon following ancient programming. She was something new. Something the architects never imagined when they built their guardians millions of years ago. She was hope. She was mercy. She was the bridge between destruction and creation. She was the proof that even monsters could change, and even humans could become something greater than they were. She was the guardian. And she was just beginning her watch. Far behind her, on the research vessel returning to Coalition space, Rena looked at her data pad. She had been analyzing Hana's biological readings from before the final transformation. The results were impossible but clear. Hana was right. Humanity was special, not because they were stronger or smarter than other species, but because they had something unique. The ability to show compassion even to their enemies. The courage to choose sacrifice over personal glory. That was what made them human. That was what made them worth saving. Rena began writing her report. She would call it the Minho effect. Why humanity's greatest strength is our capacity for mercy. It seemed like a fitting tribute to the brother who inspired the sister who saved the galaxy. And somewhere in the dark between stars, Hana felt that tribute being written. She felt the love in it, the hope, the belief that despite everything, intelligent beings were worth protecting. She smiled and continued flying toward the unknown, carrying the memories of 50,000 years and the heart of a young woman who just wanted to make her brother's death mean something. She had succeeded beyond anything she could have imagined. The watch had begun, and it would last until the last star died or the galaxy finally learned to watch over itself. Whichever came first, the end.